To sanitize and regulate the exploration and exploitation of solid materials in Nigeria, the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act was passed into law on March 16, 2007. Acknowledging that prudent and transparent natural resource management is prerequisite to achieving national wealth and prosperity, Section 5 of the Act established the Nigerian Mining Cadastre Office, NMCO, as the sole agency responsible for the administration and management of mineral titles.
The MCO is of utmost importance to the mining sector in Nigeria because that's the entry point. Without the MCO, you cannot even begin to practice mining in Nigeria.
MCO is absolutely essential. It's the bedrock. It's the foundation, the stepping stone, the very first step into the mining industry. And because I know how it operated before and what's going on now, yes, I think it's people like me who can have greater appreciation for what has happened and see the real transformation, as you say.
Since inception, NMCO has had exceptional personalities with impeccable track records at the helm of its affairs, pioneered by Professor Ibrahim Garba and now under the astute leadership of Engineer Simon Obadiah Nkom.
You know, the mining sector in Nigeria is a very old sector, but something happened that put it aside and never recovered, in my opinion, until the reforms of 2005. When President Obasanjo, during his second term, now said, now Obi, go and deal with the mining sector. That is our next important sector. We need to make this sector work. And Obi was made the Minister of Solid Minerals then. And she said, Ibrahim, say ma. She said, go and establish the Mining Cadastre Office. Choose your staff yourself. I will not accept failure. I had one of my former students, Dr. Mrs. Salahu was my student. She did my MSc, I supervised her MSc. So I said to her, let me hold her. So I wanted to recommend Engineer Nkom. Because Engineer Nkom then was the mines officer in charge of the FCT. So myself, Nkom, Salahu, then I poached 3 younger ones. So this was my initial team. We single-handedly developed the cadastre on our own, practically.
The irony of the whole thing is, when I was employed in 1983 and posted to Jos, I was posted to be working in applications for licenses. So I've had reasons to experience and practice the 1946 Act and its regulation of 1969. Then it was reviewed and reenacted the 1999. Then from 1999, it now moved to 2007, which is what we are practicing now.
We first of all studied the Act, which is the Nigeria Minerals and Mining Act 2007. I have to work with that because what happened in the past should not be repeated. Yes, and by so doing, we follow it in total. There are principles. The principles of what? Priority. First come, first serve. Transparency. We are very transparent in whatever you are doing. Law of non-discrimination. Whatever law applies to you, apply to others. It doesn't matter either you are the rich or the poor. Law is law, and we adhere to that strictly till today.
The Mining Cadastre Office was called a Mining Cadastre Office, but it was still a department under the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. It was to transit into an agency, but the law establishing as an agency, was not passed. Yeah, so at that time, even though it was a department, it was being run more or less like an agency of government, but it was a department.
Before the creation of the Mining Cadastre Office, it was the Mines Department that used to process licenses to the Minister for approval. It was later that the Department of Mines Inspectorate was now split into Inspectorate, Small Scale, and Environmental Compliance Department. And the Mining Cadastre Office was also carved after the Mines Department to create the Mining Cadastre Office.
With a Director General and CEO as its head, 5 departments headed by directors and 7 units, the NMCO's vision is to provide an independent, efficient and transparent mining cadastre system in accordance with provisions of the enabling law and international best practices.
What's most important in licensing regime in any country is transparency. So that's very important to us. Before MCO became an autonomous body, there were wranglings, about ownership of titles, validity of titles and all that, and checking this up because it was embedded within the ministry. There was this ambiguity, who does this and that. So one of the reasons why the Mining Act of 2007 decided to transfer NMCO to become an autonomous, so that the specialization is not just a career in the ministry where you can just transfer people there. So NMCO became an autonomous entity, and people who work there can build a career in that field and become specialized.
In 2011, that was when a Director General was now appointed. There was the need to be able to now work as an agency. That was when we had to start. We went to the head of service to get approvals for organogram and then the agency structures in terms of creation of departments. And that's what came about, looking at the concession department, the registry department, and then being able to now have monitoring and coordination, which are the 3 key technical departments.
What we do in the department principally is to receive, process, and dispose applications for mineral rights from prospective investors, and recommend those that have met the requirement as provided by the criteria set out and as enshrined in the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act. For those that have not met those requirements, we also recommend for a refusal, and therefore they are not considered. So basically, the department is responsible for processing, granting, and issuance of mining rights.
Our registry department is a department that is the custodian of all mineral titles. So when you apply for a mineral title and you are granted from the concession department, every other thing that happens along, even after the lifespan of the title, is domiciled in the registry department. And in addition, we do treat modifications. When I say modification, any other thing that you want to do on that mineral title within the lifespan of that mineral title, and also to ensure that mineral title holders pay their annual service fee as at when due, and pay all the other service charges that the mining cadastral charges on mineral titles.
The Monitoring and Coordination Department of the Nigeria Mining Cadastre Office is a conflict resolution sort of in terms of mineral title administration. We deal with communities, mineral title holders. The communities are the ones that received the end use. What is the end use? The activities of mining. The development of mining is not done in a city, but is done within a particular community. So the Monitoring and Coordination Department received petitions, allegations from the communities. We try as much as possible to mediate between the mineral title holders and the communities to have a win-win situation.
In addition to the supporting departments, I use the word supporting without relegating them to any point in terms of looking at the core mandate of the mining cadastre. So the human resources and finance department, and then some other units, the legal unit, the procurement, and so on. That was the beginning of MCO as an agency.
Consolidating on previous gains, Engineer Nkom carried out internal reforms aimed at a more effective and efficient mining cadastre office.
When I took over in 2019, January, because I already had the knowledge and the experience, let me use the word institutional memory. I felt with the little experience that I have, there is a need to be able to now look inwards and see how we can carry out an internal reform towards more effectiveness and efficiency to enhance our productivity, and created a research and development and sustainability unit, which is now a key driver.
Everything about the cadastre is tied to the Nigeria Minerals and Mining Act. So we get, every bit of what we do from the Act. But you see, it's funny because the Act does not recognize Research, Development and Sustainability Unit. So starting up was, it was just a whole lot of ideas of innovation. Because yes, we have to be a repository of data. Now, it's something new. It's something that, didn't exist. And it has to be a support system to the office. In fact, that's just basically what this unit is. It's a support system to the larger body, because we are not involved in the everyday activity of the main office, whereby they receive applications, they do evaluation. No, but we, at the end of the day, we work with every department, we work with every unit. So we collate the information, and at the end of the day, we don't just gather information, we now analyze the information. We look through the information, then we relate it with the behavior of the stakeholders. We come up with, we see the loopholes, we look in between our data. So that's the main achievement of this unit.
I looked at the press aspect and felt there is a need to be able to now interact with the press, because the press will ask questions, then we'll find out that they are the interface of the public. And there is no way you have an agency, you don't have a press unit. And I had to look for an officer, dedicated, loyal, to be able to now start up the press unit.
The decentralization of its activities, leading to 6 regional offices across the country, awareness creation and integration of the new electronic mining cadastre system, EMC+, a state-of-the-art, real-time online mineral title system, among others, have raised NMCO to the international stage, thus boosting the confidence of investors and attracting new ones.
MCO has developed EMC+, which has reduced greatly the timeline and the paperwork for title application. It's working. The process is seamless. And as a matter of fact, I have tried to apply for mining license in Ghana, which It's taking a long time. So the mining process in Nigeria is very, very efficient.
We think that this is one of the biggest milestones in the last decades that have happened in the mining industry in Nigeria, because the EMC Plus software is about transparency, is about accountability. I mean, it gives total control for investors to come in and make their projects work. So we're very excited, and I think the DG with his current team have done a fantastic job. And this is how you leave a legacy.
We take it for granted what digitalization means, but it sure is better for transparency. It encourages people to go to understand the system, and it just makes it seamless. But there's something that is being done that I don't remember that time many years ago that I've never heard of them doing it, which I think is very plausible. Is this issue of going around doing a sensitization. Sensitization is very, very important, where an organization, an agency as important as MCO goes out to Nigerians, to the stakeholders, not necessarily them coming here, to explain to a larger audience how, what, and why it's the new system of going about it. And that is something I think they should be improved.
Nigerians are not even aware of mining sector in Nigeria. Oil and gas are so dominated that, nobody even remembers that there's anything like mining. So we've gone on roadshows to attract investors locally. We're doing this regionally. We've done in Lagos, in Osun, where we gather investors and avail them that knowledge. Look, Nigeria is rich in this mineral. It's rich in this mineral. You can participate in mining. You can also participate in the downstream sector. If you want to do mining strictly, you can do this through processing. Just install a processing plant around the mining activity, and you process the winnings from there. Now, with this, people need to access the cadastre office as well. So we decentralized. Now, the cadastre office has 6 regional offices. So these are some of the things that have been done since I came into office to enhance the capacity of NMCO, and this has begun to yield results, because now NMCO is moving in leaps and bounds in terms of revenue generation.
Within the space of 3 years, the NMCO, under Engineer Simon Obadia Nkom as Director General, recorded a total of 9.4 billion naira revenue generated. At the end of 2019, about 2.6 billion naira in revenue was generated. In 2020, despite the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, 2.3 billion naira. And as at December 31, 2021, the revenue generated stood at 4.3 billion naira, the highest revenue ever generated by the office.
What is the strategy? Simple. You are owing us this amount of money, and you come to Mining Cadastre, you want us to give you services, more services. It's very simple. Who goes for equities must come with clean hands. So you are owing us 1 million. When you finish paying the 1 million, we'll give you more services. I say yes. And that worked. Our revenue in 2021 doubled. And that's where we got that 4-point-something billion. It might look small for some agencies, but what are the sources of revenue? The sources of revenue are very simple. Processing fees, which is just minimal, and we fix those rates looking at African countries, international. We will not just sit down and say, Nigeria is this. We want to attract investments into the sector. So we make sure that our rates comparatively with others. And then we equally went ahead to ensure that we had default notices. What does that mean? It simply means enforcing the provisions of the Act by way of implementation. And the simple syndrome of you will use your license, if you don't use it, you will lose it. And it simply means it is not how many licenses that we have, it is how many active mines.
In recognition of the agency's strides on digitization, NMCO recently bagged an award for the Best Digital Innovation Agency of the Federal Government for the year 2022, presented by the Nigerian Internet Registration Association, NIRA.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next award for the night is Digital Innovation in Federal Government.
This award is presented to the best website portal of the federal government that provides the best user experience. And the nominees are...
And now, Digital Innovation in Federal Government. The nominees: Federal Road Safety Corps for FRSC.gov.ng, Federal Inland Revenue Service for FIRS.gov.ng, Corporate Affairs Commission for CAC.gov.ng, Nigeria Communications Commission for NCC.gov.ng, National Pension Commission for PENCOM.gov.ng, Nigeria Mining Cadastre Office for miningcadastre.gov.ng.
And the winner is... Wow. miningcadastre.gov.ng.
It was quite something to actually appreciate. I had to come back, tell my minister. The minister said, look, come and present. It's a celebration for the industry. He said everybody, all the directors, top management, everybody should come to the conference room. We are celebrating MCO, we are celebrating the industry. It's not an easy feat because we know everything we are doing, people are watching. So it was well celebrated. We came back to MCO and said the reward for hard work is more work. I say, if you didn't know they were watching us, now you know they are watching us.
And if you look at the kind of caliber of agencies that NMC was competing with, NCC, and all that, this is the home of actually digitization in Nigeria. So it's fulfilling for us because one, we begin to reap the results. We are getting more revenue. And that's all the investment that has gone into putting this licensing regime online. A lot of money is going into it, into actual equipment, into training and retraining. A lot of the staff there have had to go to Germany on several occasions. The facilitators had come down to Nigeria to train them on the equipment and all that. To see all this training coming to fruition in terms of the revenue generated, also in terms of the recognition, by your peers to say, oh yes, in terms of digital innovation, this agency is primus inter pares. It's fulfilling, yeah.
Despite these achievements in terms of revenue generation and recognition, Engineer Simon Nkom and his team are poised to do more while upholding the principles of NMCO, that is, transparency, security of tenure, and non-subjectivity.
I would like the staff of NMCO to cooperate with their DG. Sincerely, I've worked with him in about 3.5 years now, and he's trying to put things right there. The man has been very upright, forthcoming, and when there are genuine mistakes, he will investigate, and of course, we've solved all the problems that has come our way as far as NMCO is concerned.
Engineer Nkom has had the advantage of working in MCO for a long time before becoming the DG. So, with that, I think that has benefited him a lot in terms of getting to get his program or his intentions well known about the way he wants to improve MCO. Aside from that, he has been able to steady the ship regarding the license application by ensuring that licenses are not duplicated, that investors do not go through any hassle regarding ownership of licenses. Because there's sometimes there have been overlaps, but he has made sure that those overlaps do not happen again. They've been very, very careful on that.
The Mining Cadastre Office has really moved. Has really moved. You see, this is the good thing about people from the inside grow up to become the head of the agency. The continuity is there. They build on what you have done. And I feel really, really happy. And I must say that they have kept the flag flying. They have moved even beyond my expectations. And I only hope and pray that continues like this.